back to my channel. This is Shraddha. This video is very different from all my previous videos. I did a thing and I want to share what I did with you people. So I met this amazing personality. I talked to her and we had a little chit chat. She answered a few questions for me and I want you to know what I did. So in this video you can find out whom I talked to, what we talked about, and do not forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel and continue watching. Today I have a very special guest with me. Please welcome the lovely, amazing and sensational author Leigh Walker. She is she is the author of 4 mind-blowing novels, and her books have the magical ability to transport you to a world you'd literally die to live in. In this video, we'll be talking to her and she'll be answering a few questions for us. So, are you ready?
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Okay, so my first question is, what inspired you to start writing?
So when I was little, my mom used to take me to the movies, and I loved the Star Wars movies, and I was obsessed with Han Solo and Princess Leia. So I think that's what started me on my journey, because I would just sit around and think about Han Solo and Princess Leia. Even when I wasn't at the movies, I was wondering what they were doing. Were they having lunch? Were they still in love? I think that's kind of what, I just fell in love with the idea of being transported to a different world. So from a young age, I think I knew I wanted to be a writer.
That's great. Okay, so my next question is, when did you first realize you wanted to be a writer?
So a couple years after that, when I had started being obsessed with Han Solo and Princess Leia, I also used to watch soap operas with my grandmother. And I loved one called General Hospital. It's still on to this day. And I used to watch it every day. And so I got so sucked into the story that I think I was about 8 or 9. I wrote my first story then. And it was about a socialite who drowned in a pool, which is kind of not really appropriate for a kid that age. But I was watching, like I said, a lot of soap operas. So I think that kind of influenced my topic.
But I guess I'm so glad you did realize it. I can't imagine my Kindle library without your books now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So where did you get your information or ideas for your books?
So for the Equinox Pact, that idea started because my aunt actually has a house up on a tiny little deserted island in Maine. And I always felt like it was this magical place. So when thinking about this book, I was kind of oh, I'd love to set a story there. It's such a wild place. And it seemed like a good place for a supernatural trying to keep a low profile, So that's how that idea came into being. And then my Vampire Royal series was really I obviously love Twilight, right? I'm a huge Twilight fan. I love the selection too. And so I got this idea after reading Twilight, then reading the selection. I was like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing to have a dating competition with supernaturals? What would that be like? So that's where I got the idea for that.
That was amazing. I mean, the awakening idea is just ooh la la. Okay. So my next question is, what did you learn when writing the book?
So I learned that writing a book is hard. I mean, it's hard every time you write a book. It's also, I don't know about if you are a runner at all, because I don't really run anymore, but I used to. And I think writing is very similar to running. It's a lot of just one foot in front of the other, one word in front of the other. So it's kind of it's hard. So I learned that every time I write a book, that it's hard every time. I love it. I would never quit. But it's hard. It's hard to come up with the right word and just keep going and going.
But I guess it's certainly worth it, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so what is your work schedule like when you're writing?
That's such a great question. I tend to work Monday through Friday. I have 3 kids, so my kids go to school every day, and I write while they're at school. And then when they get out of school, I stop writing. I feed them. I drive them places. And that's pretty much it. So that's when I write, is when they're at school.
So you need to dig for a time around?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so do you remember the first story you ever read and the impact it had on you?
So I don't remember specifically the first story that I read. I know my mom did read to me all the time when I was a kid. And I actually have this old book that she used to read to me about Peter Rabbit. And I just remember she would read it to me every night, and I loved to like look at the pictures. And so even from like a really young age, I give my mom a lot of credit because she was always like super supportive. But that I loved reading even when I was like a baby, like a little kid.
That's great. Okay, so what was your favorite book when you were a kid?
So I have so many. I think the ones that I loved, I loved Nancy Drew, like that whole series. I was totally into that. And then I don't know if are you familiar with Sweet Valley High? Have you ever
No.
heard of that series? Okay. So I think they just did a reboot of it, but it's about these twins who lived in Southern California, and they were like beautiful, but like one was the bad twin and one was the good twin, and they were always like swapping and stuff. It was totally like there was a million books in that series. I love that series. I should probably read it again,
I'm gonna read it. I'm definitely gonna read it. It sounds fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, so what do you think makes a good story?
So I don't know about you. I'd love to hear what you think about this, but I don't like to read anything unless there's romance in it. Like there has to be a romance in it for me to be interested. And so like that's what keeps my attention going. Also, I love twists and turns and everything, but for me, the most important thing is the romance. What about you? What's your favorite thing?
It's same for me. It's same for me, but I just like a lot of plot twists too.
Yes, me too. Me too.
Okay. So, do you find it more challenging to write the first book in a series or to write the subsequent novels?
I think that's such a great question. I really do. And I don't know the answer to that. Sometimes it's harder writing the first book because you have to build the world and you don't know all the rules, so you kind of like, and I kind of make things up as I go along. But I also love writing the first book in a series because I get so excited about it. Like I was so excited to talk about James and Taylor and then so the subsequent novels are easy in the respect that you already have the world built. So you have like, what the playground looks like, how you can play. But it can also be hard because then you're also like, you have to do it justice and you have to make sure that everybody's, doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that can be hard to like maintain the momentum, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It completely does.
Yeah.
Okay, which of your books were the most enjoyable to write?
So okay, can I have a tie? Because I loved writing both of these. I loved both of them. And this one I loved writing because, like the romance, but also I loved like writing about the island. Because I'd spent a summer up there and I just I loved the place so much. It was really fun to like kind of go back and revisit it in my mind. But I loved this because this is the first book I ever wrote about vampires. And it was just so like I love the characters and I love I love Dallas. And it was just so fun to be like, oh my goodness, a vampire and what's gonna happen? Like, you know what I mean?
And
that was fun.
you're very, very creative when it comes to vampires. There's so many different theories that, I was like, I need to read more. I need to read more. I couldn't keep my finger down.
Thank
I
you.
was up on midnight and my mom was absolutely staring at me like, I'm lost one night. Okay, so do you have a favorite character that you have written? If so, who is it and what makes them so special?
That is such a great question too, and it's so hard because I feel like they're all my children, and I love all of them, even the naughty ones, But I love Eve from Vampire Royals. Huh?
She's so sweet.
Oh, thank you, and I love that she was outspoken. Like she just was kind of like,
Yeah.
I didn't know she was kind of a wild card, and I didn't know how she was going to turn out. But I feel like she was like on the right life journey once she became. I don't want to give any spoilers, but yeah, like her life changed, and I was like, okay, yeah. So that's my favorite. What about you? Do you have a favorite character?
James, definitely James.
Oh, me too. I love him.
A more decent and nicer version of Edward from them. Kind of in the beginning, but James is, oh my god, I can get along so easily.
Yeah, he's a sweetie. He is a sweetie.
Now, what was the hardest scene you found while writing?
I had a really difficult time writing the last scene of this book, or the scene before the last scene, the scene with the well. And again, I don't want to like give away spoilers, but that was really hard because something bad happens, and I hate hurting my characters, you know. And also, I find it challenging to write writing an action scene. Like I really feel like I have to like really like dig for each word, because you're trying to like, you want to show it to me. I want to be able to I want the reader to be able to see it like a movie. And it can be hard to, so that was hard. That was a hard scene to write.
I just feel that Becky would die, but
not yet.
Okay, so who is the author you most admire in your genre?
So definitely Stephanie Meyer. I love her books. I love the Twilight series. I just read Midnight Sun when it came out. I don't know if you had a chance to read it yet.
I'm still waiting on, sadly.
It's really good. It's really, really good. And so there's something about the way she writes. I just kind of fall into her books. And even though I've reread them, it happens. I'm like, how does she trick me? What is she doing? What's the magic there? Because I just get so sucked into the story, which I love. Yeah.
She's also a legend. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you writing right now?
What am I writing right now? Right now, I'm working on some other stuff and like just doing some marketing stuff. I'm taking a little break right now. Because I need to like refill the well. You know what I mean? I need to kind of like get ready to write the next thing.
All right. And what are you reading right now?
Oh, I'm sorry. What am I reading? I am reading, I'm actually reading a book called The Writer's Journey, which probably sounds super boring, but it's about like archetypes in writing, like character archetypes and stuff. And it's like really like psychological. I love it. It's great.
All right.
That's what I'm reading. Yeah.
So you just released your book, Faith. Congratulations for that, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so can you share a snippet that isn't in the excerpt?
Yeah. Do you want me? So I was wondering about this. Do you want me to like read a little bit? Would that be okay?
You could do that.
Okay. All right. Let's see what I got here. Many tabs. All right. Okay. So this is a scene where Eden and Taylor are at the pool in Maine. I don't know if you remember that. They go to this fancy pool in Maine, and they're like, everybody's staring at them. And all right, so Taylor says, thanks. Hey, you want to jump in the pool? And Eden says, I say we use that old water slide. That will give everyone something to talk about. Eden and I made our way to the opposite end of the pool, where the ancient, enormous water slide loomed up above the water. Just like she predicted, everyone stared. We were the only ones under 25, both of us in bikinis. Do I have anything hanging out? I nervously adjusted my top as we reached the narrow stairs. No, but you might after this, so hang on. And then they go down the slide and splash into the water.
I actually like the Eden character so much. She's like so lively and cheerful all the time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so do you have any new series planned?
So I have an idea for a new series, and I started to write it at some point last year, and then I kind of took a step back because I wasn't sure. This character I'm thinking about, she might be a vampire slayer. That's how she kind of came to me. And I don't know if I like the vampires. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know so I'm kind of trying to figure out, like, is she a supernatural investigator? She might be that. Like, I'm trying to figure her character out a little bit before I start to write. But yeah, so it's definitely like a human being thrust into another supernatural world, and there will be some hot guys as well.
I already like that idea very much. Okay.
Thank you.
So share something about you your readers wouldn't know about.
Okay, so here's something you might not know about me, and this is just silly, but I'm 6 feet tall. Did you know that? You might not have, but I am.
I certainly didn't know that one. Okay, so if you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be?
That's such a great question. I would say I'm optimistic. I do really try to look at the world in like a glass half full kind of a way. I'm very happy. I love my life. I love my readers. I love you. I love my family and my writing. So I feel very lucky. And I would also say I'm probably pretty introspective. Like, I think people who I know in real life would say that I'm quiet, but that's because I'm thinking about Han Solo and Princess Leia and James and Taylor and all my other friends.
Oh my God. Okay, so any message you would like to give to your readers?
Absolutely. I just want to say thank you to all, you and everyone who's ever picked up one of my books. It means everything to me. And I thank you for being here and for your patience and your kindness. I love you.
Thank you. And you're so very, very kind. And thank you so very much for taking out time from a busy schedule. It was my honor to talk to you. And
It was
please,
mine.
and please keep writing books.
I will. Thank you so much, Radha. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
She is amazing, isn't she? Her aura is so beautiful and amiable. And like, if you're watching this video, I want you to know that if James was real, which I actually hope he is, he would have described your aura as golden as that of an angel. It was absolutely amazing to talk to you, and to be honest, I was really nervous at the beginning, and by the end of the interview I was so ecstatic. I was jumping from joy, I was hopping around the house, I was completely out of control. I felt so very happy. It was my honor to talk to you. Please keep writing more books. We readers are actually living for that. The more books you release, the more happy we become. Also, for the people who haven't read Leigh Walker's book yet, you have no idea what you've been missing. And you should go and read her book right now. Her first two books, the first one, The Patience of the Vampire Royal series, and The Awakening of the Equinox series, are free. So go grab your copy right now and enjoy the journey.